So for today, I thought it would be fun to play with a platform called Latent Labs. So they have a Latent X new frontier model that is really good at making macrocyclic peptides and mini binders. And I wanted to know if I could find a mini binder that would bind a small enzyme. So I decided to use their platform, and that's what we're going to look at today. So first off, just wanted to give a little feel for what the website looks like. So here we can see my dashboard that I have from Latent Labs. I tried 5 attempts highlighting different residues to see where the binder could get to. I had one initial hit, but out of 50 total structures that were made for me, 3 of them were pretty nice hits. We're going to look at the 2 from the last run. One is a beta barrel, mainly a beta barrel component, and that you can see here. And the second one is an all alpha helical component as well. And on their website, they give a nice section for what you're binding to, so you can really easily see where your products are. So that's pretty cool. And then to set up everything for Nanome, for our workspace, I have a chat that I used in Mara, and I moved all of the output from Latent Labs through this chat and had it set up a workspace for us. I even asked Mara to give us a component for chain A and chain B so we can really easily choose between the binder and the target protein. And just had this all set up in a workflow. So it even shared the workspace with Steve and Kata. So they should be able to just put their headset on and join me in XR.
Perfect. And so you were able to take those structures, those PDBs generated with Latent Labs, and then use Mara to essentially create the workspaces more easily. Do you want to share a little bit more about how you use Mara to help set up some of the Nanome workspaces?
Yeah, totally. So basically, I have a workflow that I prepared that creates a workspace, and then we load in our 3 files into Mara. So our target protein, our binder 1, and our binder 2. And then we have another tool that we're running in Mara that will find that workspace that we made and then use natural language to create components for us. So hide waters. This says create 2 cartoon components, 1 for each chain. I can edit it when I run it, but not right now as I go back and I look. But yeah, and then even as part of this workflow, there's share with colleagues and queue to open in XR. So without having to do anything more than just dropping all my files in here into this workflow and clicking run, now Steve and Kata have permission to enter the space, and they don't have to ask me for that. And for me, it'll just be ready to put on when I put on my headset. And through here, through this workflow, you can see what the inputs and outputs to each tool were, and as we pass them from one system to another.
Okay, perfect. So you use Latent Labs to generate them, and then you set everything up using the web app and Mara AI tools, and now we have a perfect VR workspace ready to go. So yeah, I'm ready to hop in.
All right, cool. Yeah, we'll hop in, and then we'll look at the protein-protein interactions and try to figure out if the residues that I wanted to interact with these binders are actually the residues that are interacting with these binders.
So here we are in the workspace, and looks like we got the binders that you have used Latent Labs to produce all right here. So yeah, let's go ahead and hop into it, Joe.
Yeah. So I actually used a different tool in Mara that I forgot to talk about earlier, but you can see that in blue down here, we have the target protein. And what I did was use a tool in Mara that aligned chain B, since the target was chain B in each binding file. So then that way, when we loaded these into the same space, we can really easily see what components each binder is, interacting with. We can, with Nanome V2, just grab one of these, right, and move them So we can see how the beta barrel will interact with this protein compared to how the alpha helice will interact as well too. But yeah, we can realign these later to look at them as well. But just wanted to be able to join the space with those proteins in the nice same spot to begin with.
So just to maybe kind of get a high level. So we have two different of the Latent Labs binders here, and they're both binding to the same blue protein. So the blue protein is the same exact one that you have. Obviously, kind of do a little manual overlay, but we could also do the more computational overlay with Mara.
Yeah, we can also use the structure actions tool, align proteins to this as well too. So if we didn't want to just do a manual, which these are pretty nice and easy too, but if we wanted to let computations do it for us, we could just realign it as well here.
And so that really shows you just how different these two binders are, right? You have this huge beta sheet barrel, and then you have this little alpha helices triple coil over here. But theoretically, they're both binding to the same protein. So similar actions, even though they have very, very different structures.
Yeah, and that's why I actually wanted to do this today. Like they're literally the opposites of each other. But the sites that I chose to bind are these little, like this little loop here, this little loop, and then again on this loop over here. And they're both pretty much interacting with those areas, but it's just really cool that the output gave us two entirely different things, but still spanning the same region. So let's look a little closer here. We're going to focus on binder one and how this alpha helical fold interacts with this little globular protein. So to do that, we're going to go to structure actions and create interaction components. And we're going to do a polymer-polymer interaction. And we're going to look at how chain A interacts with chain B. And once this finishes, what we're going to see are um, wire representations of our amino acids, or maybe these are stick representations of our amino acids that are interacting with the other chain. So they're going to be nice and color coded for us. And so we can see, and what we're really looking for are these yellow lines that are yellow dashed lines connecting amino acids. Like right here, I have a lysine that's interacting with glutamate, or an asparagine that's interacting with the tyrosine. So we have this whole network over here of protein interactions, and that's what Latent Labs does, is it's making this binder to the small protein, as it looks for protein-protein interactions and then appears to generate structures up from there.
So do you know if Labs is basically coming up with like amino acid residue positions that would form hydrogen bonding and then kind of like building out the structure from there? Or we don't really know exactly how they're doing it.
So from their website, like they have a cool little video of this happening, and what it looks like is they're building the interface first,
Mm-hmm.
and then they expand around there and make like the actual protein backbone. So it would seem like we're both over here by this side of the protein, right? So we've got this asparagine. So it
Mm-hmm.
would seem like they spawn in this asparagine because it gives them a good interaction. And then part of their algorithm is putting DNA sequences together that can be expressed nicely. So I would also assume that as this builds out, their model is also taking into account like which amino acids will go well together to not make like a globular mess or something.
Yeah, because if you basically took every amino acid, let's just say this one over here with my pink cursors, and you wanted to mutate that to maybe form an interaction with this double bonded oxygen over here, maybe that would be, not really realistic to synthesize or just kind of make it a complete mess. But even so, they got this one interacting over here and then, this one up here as well. So even though they skipped a potential interaction that could be indicative of other aspects of the protein.
Yeah, like maybe something there would have made too much strain, or made it stick too
Hmm.
much and not bent and been able to fit this alpha helix. But yeah, it's pretty cool. So yeah, let's look at binder 2 now. So I'm just going to hide binder 1. I'm going to do the same thing by going to structure actions, create interaction components, polymer, polymer, and select chain A and chain B. And now too, you can also see we've got lots of interactions again as well. But what also is super cool is that these beta sheets just extend like so far up and away from the protein, but what they built was like the fingers at the end of this uh, beta sheet, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, you see fingers, kind of reminds me of like a antibody or nanobody, right? Where it's got all those little fingers at the fab region. But obviously this is different, right? This is like just a mini protein little beta sheet bundle, but it's using, I guess, similar principles where you have all these little like interacting fingers of residues that are forming hydrogen bonds with the thing it's binding to.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of reminds me of, like a chair, like a three stooled chair. Like it's still a stable thing. And that's like what they're trying to build. They make little attachment points and then like build up from there. But super cool. Um, cool. So now what I think would be fun is what if we superimpose A and B and see if it's kind of chaos. But I'm just trying to see if we could find a spot to where both are interacting at. Like if they both chose an amino acid to bond with.
I mean, it's over here. They're both,
Like this one.
bonding. You got one too?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, this tyrosine seems to be important for
Oh yeah,
both of
this
them.
is way overlaid. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
directly.
Well, yeah, no, that's the target
Oh, I see. Yeah, yeah, that's
residue.
the target.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But you've
So it's
got one going
similar
to a yellow.
than with this one down here.
Yeah.
Kind of. There's a few spots.
Yeah, that's cool. This is a perfect use case for Mara and Nanome and, V2 in general, where you're in silico using and screening through, hundreds, thousands of structures, and then the final decision comes down to a handful. How do you make that last final decision? Moving these structures into a virtual space where you can actually interact with a 3D system in a 3D space just gives you that confidence to go forward with which binder you'd want to go after.
You also had the PDB 6NW1.
Yeah, so this is the starting protein. It's technically an enzyme. It's a artificial metalloenzyme that converts protons and electrons hydrogen gas. It's got a little nickel atom in there as well too, but what I was trying to do was find um, a binder that would kind of cover the active site. And that's actually going to be like in here. Um, and then I was hoping to go do some higher level calculations and seeing if adding a protein binding changed any of the electrostatics of the pocket there.
So in this case, right, when we have this metalloenzyme, what would creating a binder do? Like, what would you like to see, or is this for fun?
Mainly it was for fun, but what I was trying to do, it was totally exploratory. So if we have a metal atom here,
Mhm.
in this pocket, then it's really solvent exposed. so that water can get to it really. If we can put a binder and fill this top portion with
Hmm.
protein, we can exclude water, and then that will change some dielectric or some electrostatic components, and that can then influence the metal. So can it be more reducing? Can it be more oxidative? And it was more of trying to go down that route and see how can we affect catalysis without actually affecting the active site directly.
Awesome. If you had to pick one, the alpha helix bundle or the beta sheet chair to test this out, which one would you pick?
Honestly, I would go with the alpha helices just because in my history, beta sheets are harder for me to work with, and things that are all alpha helical seem to express and purify nicely.
I guess from my perspective, this alpha helix bundle is kind of sitting on the surface in a way where it doesn't need to deform too much. Versus these beta sheets, it feels like it really has to like encapsulate like half of
I see what you
that
mean.
protein and kind of like get into this state. And so in biology, right, is that protein gonna be allowed to get into that state? Is it gonna have time to fold and actually, get into this position? I'd say it's probably less likely than the alpha helix, so it's probably a good choice.
I mean, again, too, though, don't know until you try, right? So
Yeah,
I
no,
guess
till
that
you
should be
try. That's
something
the
that's good
science.
good with Latent Labs. You should be able to express these two products, which would be great, and then the real challenge of do they actually bind, which I think they said some of these were getting down into like picomolar levels, which
Oh,
that's
wow.
pretty good. But yeah, so cool. So we choose alpha helices. Move that out of the way, which it does fit. I mean, it's really cool. I think it's a fun little exercise to just see what they have available and see what's out there.
No, I mean, I think that this is a fun little project with the Metalloenzyme, but yeah, if Latent Labs is actually coming up with good binders, good structures, like I think this could have a lot of impact in the field in general. Small molecules are great. They're easy to make and distribute. You don't have to worry about like cold storage and cold supply chains, but they don't do everything. And so having the ability to rapidly generate ideally good protein binders, small protein binders, this could impact a lot of different disease areas, maybe, lead us towards personalized medicine. So I'm personally really excited about endeavors like this, paths like this, but of course, being able to have an interface where you can understand what's going on, kind of compare things, make better decisions, I think is really paramount to the entire scientific process.
Cool, yeah. I mean, I agree. Totally excited to see where things like this go. Like maybe trying to make binders for the pocket itself. So not really
Yep.
designing drugs to shut down a pocket, but making a drug to make entry to the pocket disallowed. Should be really cool.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Joe, for using the tools and getting this all put together, and Keita for recording. Always great to show this, and of course, thank you to the Latent Labs team for letting us actually use your tools through the web application and generate these protein binders. Well, hope that everyone has enjoyed this, and we'll see you in the Science Metaverse.